Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Timber Creek Collective. My name is Eric. Let's create some art. In this video, we're going to be creating a piece for my friend Tamara. She had seen one of my larger pieces and really liked it, but she just didn't have the room for its 2 foot by 4 foot size. So she asked me if I could create something a little smaller but similar in feel and color palette. So as I begin my piece, I sand what's going to be the sky, and that gets the wood nice and smooth so that the acrylic paint for the sky goes on smoothly. And then once I get my mountains sketched in, I put in some 45-degree reference lines. What those do is those help me keep my wood strips straight, and that way everything fits together very, very nicely. You'll notice also some horizontal lines down in the lower left-hand corner. That's going to be a grassy meadow. So those strips will actually be laid horizontally. So here I'm starting with the painting the sky, starting with a light blue. I use a combination of light blue, hot pink, some lavender, a little bit of purple, and just a little bit of orange. So you notice I get the other colors on first, and then I come back with the lavender here. I'm always amazed at how much the lavender tones everything and really blends all the different colors together. Gives the sky a warm evening feel. And here I'm coming back with a little bit of hot pink just to touch up a few areas, give it a little more brightness. Okay, now that I've got the sky painted, I'm going to come back and darken up my lines for the mountains. And then I'm going to hit it with a little clear coat, and that just helps seal the paint. And that way, if I get anything on it, I can usually erase it with just a soft click eraser. So here's a technique that I developed on my own. That's a piece of really coarse paper towel, and I spray just regular spray paint on there, whatever color I need, and then I wipe it or rub it on the wood strip. And what I love about that is it gives it some texture, but it also gives you some color variation. You can actually see the wood color, the natural color, through the green in places, but you also get the impression that that area is green. And if you decide to try one of these pieces on your own, I encourage you to do that. Just make sure that when you put your first strip down, that it is true and square and flush with your edges. If it's not, you will fight issues with it being square and flush for the whole rest of the picture. Here I'm just laying out the strips that are going to become the lake. Now the color that I used for the lake is actually a stain. It is called Fishing Village. It's kind of a grayish blue, and I love to use it for water. It's just light enough and just dark enough that it does look like water. And you'll see when the piece is finished, it makes it stand out and represents what I want it to. So you'll see there's some of the tools that I use. I use chisels to clear away excess hot glue. I also use it to pry up pieces that I may not have glued down properly or that is in the wrong spot, wrong shape, etc., etc. And I apologize for the camera drift here. I got really engrossed in getting the strips laid for the mountains, and the camera just slowly drifted off target. So I'll apologize in advance. So the other tools that you see there, I have a broom head. I broke the handle, but the head portion works great for keeping the piece clean, keeping all the debris off my workspace. And then tape measure, of course, carpenter's pencil. I also use contour gauge, which you'll see here in a little bit. And then I use a variety of torches for highlighting, delineating, and some shading. Yep, here's the camera drift I was warning you about. But I catch it here in just a second, no worries. There we go. So just filling in here. So as you watch this, the inspiration behind this piece was actually a trip that I took to Montana. I have some friends that live between Hamilton and Darby in far western Montana. If you're a fan of the Yellowstone series, that is the area of Montana where they filmed that. In fact, my friend's husband has been an extra in a couple of episodes. I have been in the store where they have filmed some scenes, and they film a lot of the pasture scenes at the foot of the mountain where my friends live. In fact, when they're filming, they have to go the long way. They have to take the alternate entrance into their, I don't know if you'd call it a neighborhood. Everyone has about a 10-acre plot, and you can see your neighbors, but they're not right on top of you. So, anyway, I guess you could call it a neighborhood, but they have to go the alternate route when they're filming because can't have cars driving through what should be a remote pasture on the Dutton Ranch, right? So, anyway, I went to visit Lake Como, which is between Hamilton and Darby. And Lake Como is a man made lake, but it is really, really beautiful. It is nestled right in the mountains. And on the day I was there, it was cool and kind of dreary. Oh, here's Ranger. This is Ranger. This is my best boy. He's my traveling companion and my buddy. He comes and checks on me if I'm out in the garage too long and he doesn't hear from me or see me. But he is half Boston Terrier and half Blue Heeler, and he is very smart and very in tune with me. I couldn't ask for a better dog. I have another dog, Rio, but she didn't come to check on me, so she doesn't get to be in the video. So anyway, the day that we were at Lake Como, it was kind of dreary, overcast, cool, and you could see some rain and drizzle blowing over the peaks. It was still really beautiful though. But hiking in new country, especially mountains that you're not familiar with, being a flatlander from Oklahoma, I was a little leery, I guess, or cautious. I was afraid that I was going to come across a grizzly bear, which we don't have in Oklahoma. We have some black bears, but that is no match for a grizzly for sure. So we did enjoy the experience, had a great hike, explored the shoreline, hiked a trail or two, and really just had a really nice afternoon there at the lake. Now, this sky is a little bit different. This is, of course, brighter sunset type sky, but I do want to do a piece that's based on a photograph that I took while we were there at Lake Como. So, here, just getting the mountains filled in. If you've watched my other videos, you know that I attach my wood strips with hot glue. I could use construction adhesive, but the reason I don't is because sometimes I make mistakes. Now, Bob Ross always said there was no mistakes, just happy accidents. Well, it's not always the case, but I like your philosophy, Bob. So I use hot glue, and that way I can pry it up and scrape the glue off and replace a piece if needed. So the other parts of the video were sped up. This I always slow down just because I love to watch the transformation as the torch does its thing against the wood. Now, this is not a new technique. I've used a torch to shade and delineate in other pieces, but this little torch is new to me. I wanted to try something smaller in hopes that it would give me a little more control, and it did that. But it didn't like to stay lit for very long if it wasn't vertical. So that was the one limitation of using this. One other thing that I've been working on in my other pieces and kind of playing with is using different thicknesses of wood strips to help give more depth to my pieces. I'll give you an example. The green wood strips are 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch. In other words, they're 3/4 inches wide and 3/4 inches tall. So they actually protrude the most of any of the wood strips that you see here. Now, the lake is 3/4 inch wide, but they're only half an inch tall. So they are a little bit shorter and they're more recessed than the green strips. And then the gray mountains that are kind of in the middle ground there, they are 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. And they are finished with a steel wool and vinegar combination, and it really does a nice job giving wood an aged finish. And then the brown mountains there in the background, they are 1/2 inch wide and 1/4 inch thick, so they are shorter yet. And as you can see, I got everything trimmed in with the smaller torch, but some jobs are just made for a bigger torch. And so I wanted to make these mountains that are in the background a little darker, kind of helps set them back in the distance a little further. Whoops, don't set it on fire, Eric. Using these cedar strips, it's such a soft and flammable wood, you have to be careful. I oftentimes get a few embers that try and get started, so I have to make sure I rub those out before they get started too good. But you can see what effect the torch has on the wood, especially on that mountain right there. I mean, that looks like a slab of granite. Just, I love the effect that it gives, so I always slow this portion down. Using my broken broom to clear the piece off. And there's that white eraser. Remember that black mark? Oh, it's gone. That's the benefit of using that clear coat, is it allows me to erase little marks like that, and that way I don't have blemishes on the sky. So now it's time for a signature. So here I'm using my heat pen. I really like this tip that I'm using. It really makes it very similar to writing with a pen. Of course, you can't hold it down low because it's really hot, but it does a nice job. I can trace my signature into a piece, and it makes it pretty simple, and I get a good, consistent result. So, as you're watching this, I'll let you know what else I've been up to. I have spun up two more affiliated channels with Timber Creek Collective. The first one I want to tell you about is Tales from Timber Creek. That is a channel devoted to short stories with just a little bit of animation, not much. Really, animated images is all they are. So it's not like watching a movie, but um, short stories and parables told by yours truly in a very relaxed tone. And my goal in producing these videos is to help people relax after a long day, or even if you use it as a sleep aid, I will take that as a compliment. If listening to this story helps you sleep, that is mission accomplished in my book. So I hope you will check that out. Again, that's Tales from Timber Creek, and look for that here on YouTube. And the other thing that I've done is I've taken some of my artwork and created still videos. And what I mean by a still video, it's a still shot of my artwork. Uh, it's on your TV, and then I set some relaxing music in the background. And my hope in doing so is that people will use that for setting a mood in a room or even ambience in a room, being that they can display the rustic style art and then have some relaxing music or mute it. Set it and forget it. Just start it and let it play. And I hope you enjoy that. If there's something in there that you would want to see, or ways that I might be able to improve that, please leave me a comment and let me know. And that's true of any of my channels. I'm always open to feedback. I will never profess to get everything perfect. I know better, but that's how I improve, is with feedback. So here's the finished product. I love these flyover shots. It really gives you an idea of the depth of the piece. Kind of gives you an idea of how everything fits together. And there's the finished product. I'm really glad you tuned in to watch today. If you enjoyed this video, there's plenty of others on my YouTube channel. And if you would see fit, I hope you will like, comment, and subscribe, and share with your friends. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.